Okay, we got a box full of stuff here. Someplace called the Bowling Brothers. 1 3/4 shoe width. We'll have to see what's in there. We got a whole packet of stuff here. Brake springs, adjusters, hold downs, wheel cylinder pins, instructions, pivots, brake shoe pivots, backing plates, brake shoes, bonded drums. Would have been nice to have riveted, but oh well. And a couple of wheel cylinders. So this is the backing plate and shoe kit for the 39 Ford. We're gonna hopefully end up with self-energizing brakes on there to replace the old style. So we'll another big box is heavy, so it must be the brake drums. Okay, got our brake drums from Speedway Motors, and actually the whole shooting match is from Speedway Motors. And it says here that they're made in some place in China. Now, I will say that this says this is a 12 by 2 inch Ford brake drum, and I could swear that the other box said 12 by 1 3/4 shoe width. There you go. So, oh no, the 2 inch is circled. There we go. Didn't look close enough. 2 inches circled, so we're good. Well, it's a nice looking brake drum. As far as brake drums go, get over here and get one of our shoes, lay it in there. Looks like the radius is the same. Hopefully that's going to work out a lot better than the old brakes. The problem with the old brakes is that they had a pivot at the bottom and the wheel cylinder at the top, and if you put new shoes and stuff on there, you didn't arc the shoes to match the drums, they weren't too spiffy and they were a pain in the butt to adjust. The new self-energizing style brakes have the pivot at the top and the adjuster at the bottom, and you put the short shoe to the front, long shoe to the back, and when you put on the brakes, the rear shoe grabs and swings the whole thing forward and grabs the front, and that's what they call self-energizing. So that might be a crappy explanation, but that's mine. So hopefully at the end of the day these will work a lot better than what's on there. So I read the instructions. Normally don't do that until after we're done, but they want you to test fit everything before you paint or grease or do anything. That's no fun. That means you gotta jack the car up, take it all apart, put the new parts on, take the new parts off, paint them, wait till the next day or who knows how long till the paint dries. Meanwhile, the car sat there on pieces, and your job takes 2 or 3 days instead of one afternoon. So I think we'll go for it. We'll paint the backing plates and see what happens. Well, we got our freshly painted backing plate here, and doesn't take long to knock that new paint off there. So you can see here that because this area is flat and the spindle is round, let's see if we can get in there and have a look see. Yeah, the spindle is round, so this is going to have to be ground flat across here in order to fit for this backing plate to fit over it. So that's the next step in the process, and we'll see how much we have to take off of that. It's not going to hurt anything, but just more work. Okay. Okay. I think we finally got this ground down to the point where the backing plate will fit on there. I can tell you, you ain't gonna do that with a file. We probably took a 1/4 inch of material off of there. You got to have some pretty good grinders and go along there, keep working that down. Try to stay away from the Finnegan pin there, but you're gonna have to work all the way up to that shoulder for the kingpin. And what you have to do is grind it and keep trying your backing plate on there until it slips on over this ridge and sits flush against the spindle. It's going to take a while. It's a messy job, and it's going to take a while depending on what kind of tools you have. You got to be careful. We used a carbide burr that knocked down a lot of it, and then we had our mini belt sander, and then we had used the side of the flat side of a cutoff wheel. We got every tool in the shop trying to get this thing cut down, but I think we finally got it, so we'll fit that plate on there and show you what that looks like. So there's your backing plate. You want to make sure you get one bolt in there so you get the orientation right here. Make sure you ground your flat in the same place as the flat in there, but this backing plate ought to be flush with the spindle here, and you can feel whether it is or not. I think we may have to take just a little bit more off here. We're not quite down flush, and we could probably pull it in with the bolts, but that's not really kosher, so we'll just work that down a little bit more. You know, when you get close, yeah, it's just always not quite close enough, isn't it? And make sure you wear your eye protection while you're grinding this stuff, and probably a good idea to wear your gubs. Anyway, continue on here with our project. We finally got our backing plate fitted up, and wasn't real sure whether we wanted to continue to run this shield or not, and I've decided to go ahead and put it back on, because one of the things it does, it helps keep these bolts from turning that hold the whole thing together. So there's that. We put our top pin in here, our adjustment. This is where the shoes sit up against. Only goes one way. Gets torqued to 80 foot-pounds. Then you have this T-bar here that goes on, and the shoes go behind that, and the springs go out here. Got our wheel cylinder in place, putting our pins in that push against the shoes, and what pulled the boot off, because you've got to make sure that you have this pin in there and not just kind of doing this. And this is all a little on the tight side. You can see here that doesn't really want to go in there, so you've really got to push that pin in. It's got a little shank on it there. Get it in at least that far, and then to put our piston back in here and try to put the boot back on. That ought to be interesting. We'll do that off camera. So we got to dig out our old school brake tools. We got our little spring installer tool, and then we got some giant old brake spring pliers. But and some jackass made the bleeder valve on this wheel cylinder 10 millimeter. Now, seriously, come on. Anyway, you got two brake shoes here. One shoe has more lining on it than the other. So the shoe with less lining, or the short shoe, always goes to the front, long shoe to the back. So you got to make sure your pin is in your notch here, and you're up against your post there, and then you put your nail through there in the inner seat and the spring and the outer seat, and your brake shoe is on. Now some people will put a little bit of grease on the backing plate where that shoe rides up against the backing plate. We're not going to do that, but we'll go ahead and see if we can get the rear shoe in place. So, see if we can do it with the camera in the way here. And because everything is new, nothing wants to go where it's supposed to go. Go ahead and put this on. We got a spring. And we got another hat. And then we got our tool. We'll push in on that spring. Be nice if we could see what we were doing, but we can't. Okay, so you just kind of get that in there and then turn it 90 degrees, and that'll hold it. Now you can see here that it's not wanting to compress that piston, so I'm going to try opening the bleeder valve and see if we can get that pulled down tight. Now you can see that the half moon of our shoes is up against the post like it's supposed to be. We'll put our plate on there, and then we've got to dig out some more springs out of our blister pack. And you know, you should think a guy would be prepared, but we're not. What can I tell you? Don't you just love these blister packs? And the most dangerous thing in the world is a dull knife. Yay, vey. Guys that do this never have to open them. Okay, so we have two springs. One spring goes here, generally, and we'll go up and hook there. And the other spring will go here and go up and hook there. And I think that's kind of it. So we can take this little tool here, it's got a cutout there, we'll rest on there, you put the spring on there like that, and hope for the best. There you go. You gotta hold your mouth right. Now we'll do the same thing again. There you go. Now all we need to do is put our adjuster gizmo in the bottom, and a spring across the bottom, and we'd be looking smart, maybe. Let me get get our spring out here. So I see, let's just keep throwing stuff on the ground. Okay, we're back. So they have a rubber band here. The adjuster is just a star wheel here, and you know, when you turn that, it winds out and pushes the shoes apart. So we'll start with the thing collapsed. Down here at the bottom, you have a slot in the backing plate, so you have to make sure that you put your adjuster face the right way. If you put that in face the other direction, you won't be able to adjust the brakes. So that's why they had that rubber band in there, I guess. So now we have our adjuster in there, and have to hook that brake in there, that spring. In the olden days, you could just grab that with a pair of pliers and stretch it, but I'm not as strong as I used to was, so we'll try to. This tool here really was made for riveted shoes, because you could put that in where a rivet was and hook that and stretch that spring, but we're not going to be able to do that. So let's see if we're strong enough in our old age to do this with the pliers. I kind of doubt it, but we'll find out. Can't even grab a hold of the damn thing. Okay, it's getting late. Getting late, folks. The problem here is you got to push and pull at the same time, and that's a little tricky. So that spring gets hooked into that little hole there, and we'll do that off camera. All right, we got this bottom spring on, and I gotta tell you, that was a royal sorry about that. That was a royal PIA. Part of the problem, I think, you look at the blister pack here, is the way they made this spring, where the eye goes around so far that you can't really get it hooked into that hole without twisting it around, and you gotta hold this shoe, pull on that with the pliers, twist the thing around. It's almost impossible. And with the tool that I have, because this is bonded lining, there's no place to hook one end of the tool, so that doesn't work. So we really had to take a screwdriver and sort of pry it over there, and then at the last minute use the diagonals to twist it into place. But we got it on there. Center it up. If we had a hub, we could put our drum on, but the hub and the drum are another whole story. And